President Trump and his bootlickers have torn down the U.S. Department of Education from the inside. Instead of helping to improve math and reading scores like you all are doing and supporting our educators, they're making it harder for students to get ahead. Books are being banned. History is being erased. Republicans want to take billions away from public schools and pump it into private institutions. They want to punish teachers for telling the truth. They want to criminalize educators for supporting LGBTQ students. They want to turn classrooms into cultural war battlegrounds. And I'm sorry to be vulgar, but Donald Trump and his cronies can fuck all the way off.
That was Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, and the vulgarity notwithstanding, I am a fan of the English language. It is not entirely understood by most people, I think, but vulgarity absolutely has its place, and I think is an important part of any conversation when talking about President Trump. We've often, well, before we get to the main thrust of today's show, there is one thing I did want to point out, which is that there is a human case now of H5N5 that the CDC is monitoring. Yay, that the CDC is monitoring it, but he's cut their budget by, what, 50%? No wonder people use vulgarity when talking about Trump. He's aware that he's not immune to bird flu, right? The CDC is extraordinarily important, and having cut the entire Ebola department, they decided to bring that back at least. But I'm saddened by the lack of damage that has been done to the U.S. economy now, and the reason for that is simple, and I'm aware that this is at some point going to be taken out of context, but the reason is because the sooner we start to suffer the consequences for the stupid things we're doing, the sooner we're going to stop doing them. Defunding the energy department without realizing that they're the ones who manage the U.S. nuclear arsenal is a bad idea. And Trump doesn't seem to have very many good ideas. He's going to give him credit for one, which unfortunately doesn't help us any. But and a number of people are rather shocked at the amount of durability that our economy has shown, despite what Trump has done to it. It would be great if it turns out that all of us on this side are wrong and he somehow really is a genius and got everything right. That would be great. That's actually the preferable. If I'm wrong, that's great. I don't think I am, and I don't think most economists are, and I think we're headed for a lot of trouble, and the sooner we start to get there, the sooner that we can sit there and say, well, maybe we need to change directions. Anyways, that notwithstanding, it's the first human case of H5N5 and H5N5, and it's one of those things. We've had on 𝐒𝐚𝐬, we've had on a number of people who work in epidemiology or biology to discuss these things, and I'm going to tell you what we usually seem to say when these things happen, not being an expert myself, which is the next major pandemic is probably going to be some kind of bird flu that jumps, something like what we're seeing now. Having said that, we do get from time to time these jumps, and usually nothing comes of them. They get contained, they're taken care of, and everything's fine. So it's a little bit like the big one earthquake in California. We know there's going to be a huge one, but nobody really panics when there's an earthquake. There's a lot of earthquakes. So we know that someday, unfortunately, there's probably going to be a very bad case of bird flu that's going to get out. It doesn't look like today's that day, but there's, they're doing everything they can. Nobody's really worried about it. But it's in the news and we have to tell you about it. So that's what's going on. You can learn more about it on our Discord. It's in the breaking news department section. So another thing that I've been seeing a lot of is, so much is going through. I'm very proud of our coverage of the Epstein emails. Honestly, there hasn't been anything new other than what we covered yesterday that's come out today that I'm aware of. I've been going through the news quite heavily today. I haven't seen anybody covering anything that we didn't. That's not true. I've seen one or two interesting emails, but pertaining, in fact, also to Trump and him being tied to Epstein. Also, Ken Starr, who, as it turns out, was Epstein's attorney in the first, and how I missed that, I don't know. I knew Alan Dershowitz was, Ken Starr was as well. Oh, dear Lord. So, I mean, he knows Ken Starr represented Epstein in the 2008 case. Wow. So, and that's presumably how he got his into the Clinton White House, because he knew half the people in the cabinet, in Clinton's cabinet too. The more we look at this, the more we realize just how many people he knew, how many trips abroad he took. He was in tight with the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Russia. He was trying to get in tight with Russia. It looks like he was making some headway. It's absolutely insane. But, I'm proud of the fact that what we covered yesterday seems to have covered all the big stuff for now. That was a large release. The discharge petition has been successful, and there's going to be a vote next week, Johnson has said, on the Epstein files. Let's see what they're actually going to be voting on. And let's see if I have my glasses anywhere. This is the bill that they're going to vote on. Now, I want to preface this. One of the reasons we decided we are actually going to go live today instead of giving everybody the day off is because a number of media outlets that I like very much and that I respect, some of them are mainstream, others are independent, have been saying that Donald Trump saying that he wants to investigate Clinton and Epstein and all these other things is him being vindictive. No, it is not him being vindictive. And I think his vindictiveness, while very real, is somewhat overestimated. He can be pragmatic too, and he forgives his vindictiveness. He can forgive things if he gets something for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now on his shit list, and that's good. I think that's hopefully that yields positive results. But having said that, if she just does a complete mea culpa and I've been brainwashed by the left and all this other stuff, and really just bends the knee, she can buy basically complete forgiveness. She'll never forget, and until then, yeah, she's getting death threats and all this other stuff because he's vindictive as all hell, but it's not his overriding character attribute. We'll get to that in a minute. So this is the Epstein Files Transparency Act, House Resolution 4405. Now, the summary of the act here, this bill requires the Department of Justice to publish in a searchable and downloadable format. So you can see already they're trying to anticipate some of the ways in which they could get around this. All unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the DOJ's possession that relate to the investigation and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. Sounds clear enough. This includes material related to Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs, travel records, individuals named or referenced, including government officials, in connection with the investigation and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. The DOJ is permitted to withhold certain information, such as personal information of victims and materials that would jeopardize active federal investigations. So, Sounds simple enough, and the two exceptions make sense. Those are obvious exceptions. The discharge petition succeeded, meaning this will be voted on with an up or down vote. 24 hours after the discharge petition succeeded, this happened. Donald Trump told Pam Bondi to go after everybody that she could that was on the left, including Clinton, banks, so on and so forth. The U.S. Justice Department has confirmed it will investigate the major banks, prominent Democrats, including Bill Clinton. President Trump has asked Attorney Bondi to look into Epstein's involvement with the Clintons. Let's see. This includes J.P. Morgan, Chase founder, Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman, so on and so forth. Now, I would like to make a couple of things clear. First of all of this is preposterous because he has already said, and Pam Bondi has said, that the case is closed. They looked at all the files. There's no one left to investigate. Nonetheless, she has said she will investigate all of these people, just completely contradicting what she said 6 months ago. The files, it's a hoax. There's nothing in the files, not even the Democrats. Now he's going after the Democrats. What is being said in the media, again, even independent media, is this just shows you how vindictive he is. No, this has nothing to do with vindictiveness. I take you back to the summary of the House resolution that we are voting on. The DOJ is permitted to withhold certain information, such as the personal information of victims and materials that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. They just started multiple active federal investigations into Bill Clinton, the Treasury Secretary, founder of LinkedIn, yada, 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 Chase, J.P. Morgan, all of them are now actively under investigation. And releasing these files would let them know what they're being investigated for, and you can't do that. So, less than 24 hours after the discharge petition would bring this to a vote, and Johnson said, sure, let's vote on it next week. Trump says, oh, those files that you said are clean and nobody did anything wrong. I want you to start active investigations against Bill Clinton and a whole bunch of other people. And she says, sure, let's do it. To the best of our understanding, those investigations have now been opened. That would permit the DOJ to stay in compliance with this law and not release a single file. What this means is, if this passes the House, and which it is almost certainly to do, in fact, quite possibly by a veto-proof majority, then if it passes the Senate, which some people say it's going to die there, I'm not sure what thinking. I don't think the Senate wants to kill this. They may not want to push it forward, but you don't want to be known as the guy who voted against this act. But if it passes both, Trump can, quote, keep his pledge to the American people to release these files, sign this, and then it goes to the DOJ, who in 14 days, 1 day shy of when they have to produce the records, are going to say, sorry, we can't produce any of them because we have active investigations into all of these other people. And not for nothing, but I would like to point something else out. This bill requires that the Department of Justice, requires the Department of Justice to publish in searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records and documents. Who determines whether a file is classified or not? Anyone here know? Just taking a quick survey of the room. Civics 101. Who determines whether or not a document is classified? President of the United States. He can classify all of the Epstein documents, and then they don't have to release them. Now, I don't think he wants to do that. because I think that looks sketchy as hell, and he already looks sketchy as hell, and I think he's aware of that. But this dismissiveness, oh my God, he's going after J.P. Morgan, he's going after the Treasury Secretary under Clinton, he's going after Clinton, he's so vindictive. No, I think he's trying to stay alive. If he wanted to get them, he'd have gone after them sooner. And he'll, when he gets to it, when he gets bored, yeah, he'll go after them, or when he needs a new distraction. No, the reason he's doing this now is because we're investigating a former president of the United States. We can't turn these files over, and there's an explicit exception in here for active federal investigations. That's why he opened 6, 7, 8, 9 federal investigations, all dependent on the Epstein files, less than 24 hours after the discharge petition passed. So what we're predicting, what I'm predicting, is that they're going to keep silent about it because they don't want someone to try to withdraw that clause. And that I can tell nobody else has picked up on this. I don't see mainstream media covering, hey, wait a minute, they just started a whole bunch of, but that's what the bill says. So as of this moment, Trump can easily withhold the entire file and comply with this law because he's just going to claim that it's part of multiple active investigations. What Congress can then do is try to find him in contempt. That's going to be harder to do. That's going to be real hard. So, I mean, this game is not over. They're still, find him in contempt and say he started these investigations, which he said weren't necessary 6 months ago. He started them 24 hours after the discharge petition, only so that he didn't have to release the files. And then that contempt case will be appealed and go to the Supreme Court. That's what we're looking at. It's a very sad thing for people who want to see justice done. It's a very sad thing, and I've seen, I'll be honest, I try to avoid the videos of the family, and I understand the sentiment, and maybe it's important, but the mainstream media going to the brother of Virginia Giuffre and saying, how would you feel if Ghislaine Maxwell was pardoned? How do you think he'd feel? He couldn't even answer the question. Finally, he just said it would be a slap in the face to everything that she spent her life fighting for. And, yeah, no shit. So I was delighted by the discharge petition, and it's been a fight to get this far. What I would like to do is to prepare people who are interested in seeing justice done here for the fact that I don't think this is going to do it unless they make some changes to this bill. But the bill as it is actually quite reasonable. Those are both reasonable exceptions, but that's the problem. Trump's going to take advantage of them. I guarantee it. So unless they change this, which it can still be amended, but that's why I am not a fan of all the talking heads out there right now saying, wow, Trump's vindictive going after Clinton. It's got nothing to do with vindictiveness. It's got to do with keeping the Epstein files out of public light. He's not angry. He's absolutely not angry. He's afraid. And so he's going after people that just by going after them, he can slow this down some more. But I want to make that crystal clear. And it's, by the way, it is, unfortunately, it's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move because by doing that, he has now met the conditions that are laid out in the law to not release the files. And they're good conditions. It's not wrong. He's just going to take advantage of it. So, anyways, we wanted to make you aware of that. I think we're going to make you aware of one other thing before we move on. But I wanted to, I hope nobody and I mean, I think the Epstein files can and should bring him down. The other thing is that the good news is, I mean, here's the other thing I had forgotten, which was a number of social media influencers, both on the left and on the right, quote, received the Epstein files. Now, they were all heavily redacted. Included in those binders wasn't every email, but was a number of emails that do contain Trump. But Trump's name had been redacted in those. And we did a show on that. We still have it, you know, Epstein files released, because it was what they were saying. We acknowledged it wasn't the full Epstein files, obviously. But what's important is that's mens rea. That means they know that he's in there. They know, and they have redacted him. They sent out the redacted versions, and they thought they had the only copy of these emails. Turns out they didn't. The Epstein estate still has the email, still probably has access to all of his emails, and when they were subpoenaed by Congress, sent the unredacted versions. But this means the Justice Department has been redacting them, pulling out the name of the president, and then saying that he's not in the files. The Justice Department is lying for to suggest that this is not worse than Watergate, because this and Watergate are two categorically different things. Watergate was a president ordering a break-in because he wanted to bug his official. This is the weaponization of the State Department to go after his enemies and to protect him in his own crimes, to literally pardon and ignore anything that he does, that he could go to New York, be seen by 1 million people shooting someone and killing them in the street, and nobody can touch him. He cannot be indicted by the state of New York, and he will not be indicted by the Justice Department, which is a complete violation of everything the Justice Department has been about since its inception. All right, Brooks, we can have you on in a minute. I want to cover one other thing, and then if you'd like, we can have you come on. Brooks does want to join us, so as a special treat, we will have that. I want to cover the final remaining thing before we go. Justice Department, or before we transition, Justice Department quietly replaced identical Trump signatures on recent pardons. Now, one of the things that we have discussed before is the fact that actually, what I think we'll do, we're going to create a second show. So we're going to do another show. We'll let this be a rundown. Then we're going to create an in time that'll just be Brooks and I, but that way it'll be its own show for people who that's how we'll do it. So what we have here, Trump has been heavily criticizing Biden in his use of the autopen. Now, he's used the autopen himself repeatedly. The argument is, however, that he is okay, and Biden was non-compos mentis, and therefore it could have been anybody using the autopen. Maybe it was Trump, maybe it was somebody else, and nobody knows. Ergo, all of Biden's pardons shouldn't count, and anything where Biden used the autopen is invalid. But what makes this part in particular very interesting is once people started to point out that Trump has been using the autopen, and he makes fun of Biden's autopen use, but Trump pardoned 2,000 people, the entire January 6th group, on what is second or third day. He signed all of those by hand in 2 days. Really? So he's been using the autopen for a while. But the Justice Department, which had been posting these pardons online, people have been noting that it's the autopen. The reason they know is because the signatures are identical. Anyone who specializes in signatures will tell you even one person never makes a perfectly identical signature every time. It's like making a perfect circle. It's just one of those things that people can't do. You cannot have one person sign identically, exactly, twice. So And in fact, that's a basic axiom of handwriting identification science, is that no two signatures are going to ever bear the exact same design features in every aspect. However, Trump's have. That means he's been using the autopen. Now he has said that he has signed all of the pardons himself. The signatures are all identical, so we know he hasn't. It's not a big deal. Nonetheless, the pardons have been coming down from the Justice Department's website and then coming back up, freshly signed by Donald Trump, meaning he is going back, re-signing them, this time himself and not using the autopen, and then they're publishing them, and they're denying that they're doing this. What they're saying is that they've been taken down temporarily and then put back up due to a, quote, technical error. I want to make this crystal clear. This is 1984 level shit. The Justice Department is rewriting history for a political reason. He just doesn't like the fact that he used the autopen. It undermines political arguments that he's trying to make. So the Justice Department is going back, representing him with previously autopenned, completely valid, legal pardons. He's signing them, and then they're replacing them, and then saying, no, these were always them. We've always been at war with East Asia. He has signed these by hand. He has always signed them by hand. Holy smoke. The level of doublethink required to even engage in this exercise is quite staggering. It doesn't mean anything in terms of making the pardons more or less valid. They were already valid. But it demonstrates just how important the show is to him. That people go along with seeing reality the way he prescribes it. He's told the Justice Department that these were always signed by him. And that is what the Justice Department is now saying. No, they were signed by autopen, and then he signed them. Nope. That reality, at least inside the Justice Department, is no longer accepted. And they have changed government archives, government websites, to reflect reality as Donald J. Trump has prescribed it. Absolutely staggering, and I thought well worth covering that as well. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take down, we're going to end the show. Oh, I do have some super chats, and then we will start a new show. We will, it'll just come up right up on the channel. It's just going to be a standard in time. It'll be a hang between myself and Brooks, and we're going to talk about this and probably a lot of other things, because Brooks is one of the smartest guys I know. So always love chatting with him. We're going to have him on. So it'll be Brooks and I in time, probably about 15 minutes from now. Dunk on You, $20. Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene at each other's throats. Both are despicable. Need to see go. Slava Ukraine. Slava. Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing the mean girl thing. She's like posting all of her DMs with Trump. It's really weird. She's like, well, here I am talking to Trump and giving him this idea that he used, and now he's throwing me out like used to toilet. Here's how I got him elected, was this way. And then she does these DMs, which I think are genuine. But it's so eighth grade of her. It's really bizarre to see, but it is quite typical with what I've seen of her psychological makeup. She's in the 8th grade. That's just where her brain is. Thank you very much, Dunk, for that super chat. Dunk on You also gifted 5 memberships, so thank you very much for that as well. And so, like I said, well, yeah, Brooke, I said you're the smartest man that I know. I don't leave this room. So, like, and I've never actually been in the same room with you, so, and I said one of, you know, because I got a mirror, so. Just saying. All right. Anyways, so we'll see you all in about 15 minutes. Thank you all for joining us. I did, you know what? Here's what, here's actually what I think we should do. This is, in theory, it's real simple, but of course, because I'm the one who's doing it, we may have a hard time with it. I'm going to create the new stream right now, and we'll just redirect to that stream. It'll still take me a couple of minutes to get everything set up for another stream, but I can do the stream right now. So we'll create a new stream, and I think he wanted to talk about the Epstein and so I'm just going to put down Nick and Brooks, and we'll just make that show, and then we will redirect all of you to it, so none of you have to go anywhere. And I think it's about ready. Yeah, there you go. And we'll start it in about 15 minutes, so I'll put that on there. And it looks like we just about got it. There we are. I will drop a link to it, but I'll also do a redirect so everyone just goes there automatically. So now let me set up the redirect, and I don't know if there were any questions that I missed. Let's see. I still. Oh yeah, there we go. So customization. We are going to do a redirect. Nick and Brooks, save, and yeah, you get a second cookie. That's it, second cookie, and the cookie comes with Brooks. So. It'll be a delight. So we will see you all in about 15 minutes. Thank you all very much, and look forward to having more news for you soon. Do come to the show with Brooks. Brooks is always, those of you who've been around for a while have seen, he always has a lot of really interesting and knowledgeable things to say. So I'm looking forward to it. See you all in about 15 minutes. Have a good night.